How dare you? How dare you put your dirty mouth on my food? Pa! The sound of the slap echoed through the marble dining room. The plate fell from Ifeoma's trembling hands. Rice scattered across the tiled floor. A piece of chicken bone skidded under the table. Madam, please. I beg you. I was so hungry. The food was leftover. I thought. You thought what? Madame Bucola screamed. Her gold earrings shook with rage. You thought because we have plenty of food, a common village made like you can sit on my chair and eat from my plate? Pa! Another slap. Harder this time. Ifeoma's lip burst open. Blood mixed with the tears running down her face. Madam, a beg. I have not eaten since morning. I have been working since 5 a.m. Shut up. You smell like the gutter. You look like poverty. And now you want to eat the food I prepared for my husband? Get out of my sight before I kill you. Tamalola, Madam's only daughter, walked in laughing. 22 years old, dripping in designer perfume. Mummy, what is this disgrace eating in our house? She looked at Ifeoma like she was a cockroach. Useless girl. You came here to work, not to chop our food. Go and clean the toilet. Now! Ifeoma bent down quickly. She picked up the scattered rice with shaking hands. Her tears fell on the floor. Plop, plop, plop. She had no idea that in less than 2 weeks, this same Madame Bucola would be kneeling in front of her, begging, crying, asking for forgiveness. She had no idea that the man whose food she was forbidden to touch was actually her own father. Yes, my people. Today's story will shake you to your bones. A story of a maid who was beaten, insulted, treated like garbage in a wealthy house. Until one DNA test changed everything. Until one truth tore that family apart and rebuilt it in a way no one could ever imagine. Before we begin this incredible journey, please tap that subscribe button, hit the like, and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. I want to know how far this story will travel. Now sit back, get yourself something to drink, and let me tell you the story of Ifeoma, the maid who was actually the missing daughter of one of the richest men in Lagos. Let me take you back. 23 years ago. Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Chief Tunde Adeleke was pacing the hospital corridor like a man possessed. His first wife, Adesuwa, the love of his life, had just delivered their first child. A baby girl. Healthy. Beautiful. Crying so loudly that the nurses joked the child already had her father's stubborn voice. Chief Adeleke was not yet a chief then. He was just Tunde, a young engineer with big dreams and a small bank account. But that day, holding his baby girl in his arms for the first time, he felt richer than every billionaire in Lagos put together. We will call her Adiz, Adesuwa whispered. Princess. Because that is what she is. Tunde kissed his wife's forehead. Adiz Adeleke. My princess. Daddy will give you the world. But fate is a wicked thing, my people. Fate does not care about your plans. That night, while Adesuwa slept exhausted in the maternity ward, a young nurse named Mama Nkechi was on duty. Mama Nkechi had her own pain. She had lost 3 pregnancies. Her husband had left her because she could not give him a child. She was a broken woman with nothing left to lose. She stood by the cot. She looked at baby Adiz. And the devil whispered in her ear. At 3 a.m., Mama Nkechi switched the baby. She placed another baby, a stillborn child from a different ward, into the cot. She wrapped Adiz gently in her wrapper. And she walked out of that hospital like a thief in the night. By the time Adesuwa woke up and found her baby cold and lifeless, Mama Nkechi was already on a bus going to her village in Anambra. Adesuwa never recovered. 3 months later, she took her own life. Chief Adeleke was destroyed. He searched every hospital. He hired private investigators. He cried until his eyes had no tears left. But no one suspected Mama Nkechi. She had already disappeared into a small village called Umuse, where she raised the child as her own. She named her Ifeoma, meaning good thing. Years passed. Tunde Adeleke buried his grief in work. He became one of the richest men in Lagos. He remarried, to a woman called Bucola. They had Tamalola. But every December, on the day his Adiz was born, he would lock himself in his study and weep. Bucola never understood that pain. She thought he was being dramatic. Now back to our story, my people. Ifeoma grew up in Yumu's village thinking Mama Nkechi was her real mother. She was a quiet girl. Hard-working. Beautiful in a strange, striking way that did not match anyone in that village. Her skin was light. Her eyes were sharp. Her cheekbones were high. The villagers used to whisper, "This Ifeoma, where did she come from? She does not even look like Mama Nkechi." Mama Nkechi would shout them down. "Mind your business. Is it my fault that my daughter is beautiful?" But Mama Nkechi carried the guilt for 23 years. It ate her from the inside. It gave her sickness no doctor could cure. And on her deathbed last year, she tried to confess. "Ifeoma," she whispered, holding her hand. "My daughter. There is something I must tell you. I am not your real." But the cough came. Blood filled her mouth. And Mama Nkechi died without finishing that sentence. Ifeoma cried for 3 days. She buried the only mother she had ever known. And then she packed her small bag and went to Lagos. Because Mama Nkechi had left no money. Only debt. A neighbor, Auntie Funk, told her, "I have a friend in Lagos. Madame Bucola Adelik. Big woman. They need a maid. Go and serve them. At least you will eat." That was how Ifeoma found herself, 3 months ago, standing in front of the biggest mansion she had ever seen. The Adelik Mansion in Banana Island. Iron gates. 6 cars in the driveway. Marble everywhere. Madame Bucola looked her up and down like she was buying yam in the market. "You are too pretty for a maid," Madame said, frowning. "I don't like pretty maids. They cause problems with husbands. But Funk begged me. So I will manage you. Listen carefully. In this house I am God. You will work from 5 a.m. to midnight. You will not eat unless I tell you to eat. You will not touch our food unless I give it to you. You will sleep in the boys' quarters. Any nonsense and I will throw you back to your village." "Yes, madam," Ifeoma whispered. She did not know that the man she would see walking past her in the hallway every morning, the man who would mumble "good morning" without lifting his eyes, was her own father. She did not know that the gold cross necklace she always wore, the one Mama Nkechi gave her on her 10th birthday and told her never to remove, was actually a necklace that belonged to her real mother, Adesawa. A necklace Mama Nkechi had stolen from the hospital that night. The same necklace that would soon change everything. For 3 months, Ifeoma served that family. And every day was hell. Tamalola was the worst. The spoiled daughter would throw her plate of food on the floor and command Ifeoma to lick it up. "If you don't lick it, I will tell Mummy you stole my gold chain." Ifeoma licked it. She had nowhere to go. Madame Bucola would slap her for the smallest things. Burnt toast. Wrinkles in the bedsheet. Smiling too much. Smiling too little. She slapped Ifeoma so often that Ifeoma had stopped flinching. Only Chief Adelik was different. He never shouted at her. But he also never looked at her. He was a quiet man who came home late, ate alone, and disappeared into his study. Sometimes Ifeoma would hear him crying in there. Like a wounded animal. She often wondered, what is making this rich man so sad? He has everything. But she had her own pain to carry. So she minded her business. Then came the day of the leftovers. Ifeoma had been working since 5 a.m. Madam had hosted a party for 50 people the night before. Ifeoma had washed plates till 2 a.m. She had only slept 3 hours. By noon, her head was spinning from hunger. She saw the leftover jollof rice from the party. It was going to be thrown away. Madame Bucola never ate leftovers. So Ifeoma served herself one small plate. She thought, Madam will never know. And even if she finds out, this food is going in the bin anyway. But Madam walked in. And the slaps came down like rain. That same afternoon, after Ifeoma had cleaned the toilet with a bleeding lip, Chief Adelik came home unexpectedly. He had forgotten an important file in his study. He walked into the dining room. He saw Madame Bucola eating ice cream and laughing on the phone like she had not just brutalized a young girl an hour ago. "Where is the maid?" Chief asked. "Why?" Madame frowned. "I need a cup of tea." Madame shouted. "Ifioma! Bring tea for Oga. Now!" Ifioma walked in with her head down, holding the tray. Her face was swollen. Her lip was busted. Tear stains were dried on her cheeks. Chief looked at her. For the first time in 3 months, he actually looked. And his heart stopped. The girl looked exactly like Adesawa. Same eyes. Same nose. Same way of biting the lower lip. Same neck. Even the small mole below her left ear. Adesawa had that mole. He used to kiss it. Chief's hands began to shake. Then he saw the necklace. The gold cross on a thin chain around Ifioma's neck, with the small engraving of a butterfly on the back. That was Adesawa's necklace. The same necklace Adesawa was wearing the night she gave birth. The same necklace that had disappeared with their dead baby. Chief Adelik dropped the file. The papers scattered across the floor. "Where?" His voice cracked. "Where did you get that necklace?" Ifioma touched it nervously. "My mother gave it to me. Before she died. She told me never to remove it." "Your mother?" Chief whispered. "What was your mother's name?" "Mama Nkechi. She was a nurse. She used to work in Lagos before she returned to the village." "A nurse. In Lagos." Chief Adelik felt the ground move under his feet. "How old are you?" he asked, almost whispering. 23. "I will be 24 in December." December. The same December his Adiz would have turned 24. He sat down. He could not stand. "Tund! What is wrong with you?" Madame Bucola shouted. "Why are you staring at this useless maid?" "Ifioma, get out!" But Chief raised his hand. "No. Ifioma. Stay. Sit down." "Tund!" Madame was furious. "Sit down. On my chair." "Bucola. Shut up." The room went silent. In 20 years of marriage, Chief had never told Bucola to shut up. Never. He looked at Ifioma with eyes full of tears. "Tomorrow, we are going for a DNA test. You and I." "DNA test?" Ifioma was confused. "Yes. Tomorrow morning. We are going to the hospital. I will explain everything later." Madame Bucola felt cold. Something was wrong. Very wrong. That night, Madame Bucola could not sleep. She remembered all the slaps. All the insults. All the time she had treated Ifioma like dirt. What if? No. No, no, no. It was impossible. She crept into Tomalola's room. "Tommy, wake up. Your father is doing something strange. He wants to do a DNA test with that village maid." Tomalola sat up. "DNA test? Why?" "I don't know. But that girl is wearing some necklace that he keeps staring at. And he said her mother was a nurse in Lagos." "Tommy, what if?" "Mummy, calm down. Daddy is just confused. There is no way that bush girl is connected to us. Stop being paranoid." But Madame could not stop being paranoid. She remembered the story Chief had told her once. About his first daughter. The one who died at birth 23 years ago. The pain that never left him. The way every December his eyes would go cold. What if that baby did not die? What if that nurse stole her? What if Ifioma was? Madame Bucola began to sweat through her silk nightgown. She had 2 days to stop that DNA test. Or her life as she knew it was over. The next morning, she begged. She lied. She faked illness. "Tund, please. I need to see the doctor. My chest is paining me. Postpone this DNA nonsense." Chief looked at her with eyes she had never seen before. "Bucola, if you don't move out of my way in the next 10 seconds, I will physically remove you. We are going to the hospital. Today." She knew then. He knew. Somehow, in his heart, he already knew. Chief and Ifioma left for Reddington Hospital. Madame Bucola sat on the floor of her bedroom, shaking. The samples were collected. The doctor was an old friend of Chief Adelique. He promised to rush the results. 48 hours, Chief. I will call you myself. 48 hours. 48 hours of Madame Bucola not eating, not sleeping, pacing, praying to a god she had not spoken to in years. 48 hours of Ifioma confused and quiet. Chief had given her a guest room with a king-sized bed she was scared to sleep on. He had told the staff not to let her clean or cook. He had given her new clothes. She did not understand what was happening, but her heart was beating fast. 48 hours of Chief Adelique sitting in his study, staring at the old picture of Adesawa, whispering, "If this is true, my love, if this is true, I will not fail her this time." And then, on the morning of the third day, the phone rang. The doctor's voice was thick with emotion. "Chief, I have your results. You need to sit down. Just tell me, Olu. The girl, Ifioma. She is your daughter. 99.99% match. There is no doubt. Tund. You have found your Adiz." Chief Adelique dropped to his knees on the marble floor of his mansion. And he wept. He wept like a man who had been thirsty for 23 years and finally found water. "My daughter," he kept saying. "My daughter. My Adiz." He called everyone into the living room. Madame Bucola, Tamalola, Ifioma, the senior staff. His voice was shaking, but his eyes were like fire. "This girl," he said, pointing to Ifioma, "is not a maid. She is my first daughter, Adiz Adelique. The daughter I lost 23 years ago. The daughter that was stolen from my late wife in the hospital. The DNA test has confirmed it 99.99%. The room exploded. Tamalola screamed. "What rubbish are you saying? This bush girl is my sister." "No, no." Madame Bucola began to cry. But her crying was different. It was not joy. It was fear. Pure terror. Ifioma stood there frozen. The words were not entering her head. "Father. Sister. Adiz." Chief Adelique walked to her. He knelt in front of her. This billionaire, this man who bent for no one, knelt before the maid he had not even looked at properly for 3 months. "My daughter. Forgive me. Forgive me for not knowing. Forgive me for not seeing you. Forgive me for letting you suffer in this house. I am so sorry. I am so sorry." Ifioma's legs collapsed. She fell into his arms. And for the first time in her life, she felt what it was to be hugged by a father. She cried. He cried. Even the security men outside the door were crying. But Madame Bucola was not crying tears of joy. Chief stood up slowly. He turned to her. His eyes were stones. "Bucola, for 3 months, you slapped my daughter. You starved my daughter. You called her a bush girl. You made her lick food off the floor. You treated her like an animal in my house. Tund, I did not know. How could I know? You did not need to know who she was, Bucola. She was a human being. That should have been enough. But you have shown me the wickedness you carry inside you. And you, Tamalola, you laughed while she suffered. You enjoyed her pain." He paused. "Pack your things. Both of you. By tomorrow morning, you will be out of this house." "What?" Madame screamed. "Tund, I am your wife. You cannot do this. 20 years of marriage. 20 years of marriage means nothing if you can torture a young girl for 3 months without a drop of mercy. I will give you a small allowance. Enough to live. But you will never live in this house again. You will never spend my money again. And you will never come near my daughter again." Tamalola fell to her knees. "Daddy, please. I will apologize. I will be good to her. Please don't send me away." Chief looked at her with sadness. "Tommy, I should have raised you better. This is my failure too. But the woman I have seen you become these past 3 months is not the daughter I want to know. Go and learn what humility means. Then maybe one day we can talk. Madame Bucola and Tomalola were thrown out the next morning, with 2 suitcases each, the same way they had once threatened to throw Ifioma back to her village. Karma, my people. Karma. Chief Adelik gave Ifioma everything. Her real name back. Adiz. The princess. He sent her to study in London. He introduced her to society as his daughter, his heir. The whole of Lagos was in shock. The newspapers carried the story for weeks. Missing billionaire's daughter found working as maid in his own house. But the most beautiful part of the story is what Adiz did with her new wealth. She did not become arrogant. She did not become cruel like the people who had been cruel to her. She remembered the pain of being a maid, the hunger, the slaps, the humiliation. So she built a foundation for housemaids and domestic workers in Lagos. She fought for their rights. She gave them legal protection. She gave them free education and skills training. She made sure no maid in any house connected to her foundation was ever treated the way she was treated. She found Maman Kechi's grave in the village. And even though that woman had stolen her from her real parents, Adiz did not curse her. She knelt by the grave and said, "Mama, you did a terrible thing. But you raised me with love. You fed me when you had no food. You sent me to school. I forgive you. May your soul finally find peace." That is true greatness, my people. That is what it means to have a clean heart. And as for Madame Bucola, she lived in a small flat in Surulere, alone, eating the kind of leftovers she once slapped Adiz for eating. Sometimes she would knock on the gate of the Banana Island mansion, begging to see Chief. But the gateman, who had once watched her slap Ifioma without lifting a finger, now had instructions. "Madam, please go. Oga said you should never come here." Tomalola. She married a man she thought was rich. He turned out to be a fraudster. He took everything from her and disappeared with another woman. She now sells second-hand clothes in Yaba Market. The same girl who used to throw food on the floor for a maid to lick. So you see, my people, life has a way of paying everyone back. Whether good or bad. The way you treat that maid, that gateman, that small shop girl, the way you treat the people you think are beneath you. Heaven is watching. And one day, the truth will rise. Because the DNA of the universe never lies. Be kind to everyone. Because you never know who you are slapping. You never know whose daughter that maid is. You never know whose son that gateman is. Treat every human being with respect. Because in the end, the only thing that will follow you to your grave is how you made other people feel. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment telling me what lesson you learned today. Share this story with someone you love, so they too can learn. Until next time, my people, stay blessed, stay kind, and always remember, what you do to others, life will do to you tenfold.